So we did it Wainwrights coast to coast in 16 days, which wasn't too bad. Thoroughly enjoyed the experience, and today I just want to do a kit review, really. Tell you what I took with me, what worked, perhaps what didn't work so well, and what I would have taken and left behind. So let's start with the pack. I used my trusted Prickly Gorse Ultralight waterproof pack. Really like this bag. Since I've had it, I've made the odd little adjustment to it so it suits me, but it's great. It's got a little water bottle carrier, and it's got a really good hip belt with pockets that I've added to it. With water, I just put standard plastic water bottles in there. It's a lightweight pack, which helps, and certainly my base weight was 9 kilograms, which included everything I needed and Cora, just excluding the food and water. I think you'd find that the food and water probably added up to another 3-4 kilograms, though the dog food was quite heavy, although I didn't carry a great deal of water with me, having a filter system. So let's start with that. Let's have a look at my filter system. So I used this. I used a 3 litre Beefree by Katadyn. Has a fantastic flow rate, this. Very reliable filter, cleans your water. But I like the fact that you get a 3 litre bag with it, because you can take it to your camp and you can keep your water there rather than just having a 1 litre bottle backwards and forwards to your water source filtering. So I really like that. It's very useful. I generally use that and fill bottles with it, do my cooking, etc. I think the next thing to look at was the sleep system, and what I used was a Seater Summit pad and pillow. I've got it here, and it's the Seater Summit. I think it's called the Ultralight, but I'll check. I may be getting it confused with another one. But it packs down very small. In fact, I tend to use it into this bag, which is slightly smaller than the one it came in. I can blow it up with 10 puffs myself. Don't need to take anything to actually inflate it. And I use a Seater Summit pillow. This one here, which is the, let's see, what is it? The Aeros Ultralight Large. If I'm honest, it could do with being a little bit thicker for me, and I tend to put a jacket or something over it. But yeah, it works and it packs down to nothing. Very, very lightweight. The quilt I used is this, which is the Thermorest Chorus. So as you can see, it's got a comfort rating of 32 Fahrenheit, which is freezing, but it's got a rating overall of -6 or 20 Fahrenheit. We used it in the snow, and it was definitely under minus degrees, and it was okay, but I did have to put a jacket on with it. An unusual item, which I'll randomly show you, is this, and it's an umbrella, which isn't usual to see on the trails, certainly not in the UK, and I took this with me. It's really light. I've not weighed it, if I'm honest, but it's carbon fibre mostly, and it was fantastic. It was great for keeping the sun off on the hot days, and it was also very useful on the rainy, wet days, and it meant I didn't have to kind of zip and waterproofs up as much as you would normally, allowing me to vent a bit better. Very, very highly recommended, the umbrella. I also took with me an OMM chest pouch. Within that pouch, I kept sunblock, a pair of sunglasses, some lip salve, power bank, and batteries for the GoPro. And I also had some dog treats in there. Found that very useful. You could put things in there that you just want to get to, so you're not taking the pack on and off. Once again, it's something I'd highly recommend for longer packs. Sleeping bag wise, me and Cora had our own little sleep systems. So for Cora, she's got this very, very thin sleep mat, which I got from Mats and Packs, and I just cut it down. She's also got her woof bag. So if you've seen any of my recent videos, you'll know that I use this a lot, and it's basically a sleeping bag for a dog, and it gives the dog a place where they know they can you know, go and sit. You know, it's their place in the tent, and it also keeps them nice and cozy, particularly overnight if it gets cold. And we had one night up on the fells when it snowed, so it was really useful for her, so that was recommended. So this is the insulated jacket that I took with me. It's not down, and it's purposely not down because I thought if it gets wet, given that I'm backpacking for over 2 weeks, I want something that will still function. And as you know, if down gets wet, you've got problems. So I took this, packs down into its own pocket. It's fairly light, it's not as light as a down jacket. It's got the Primaloft Gold, I think, in it, which mimics down, but it was really warm, very useful, particularly at the end of the day if it was a little bit chilly, particularly on that snowy camp as well. Keeping with the clothing theme, I took my cap, which I always wear these days. I can never pronounce them. Arcteryx, is it? I've had this for about a year, maybe 18 months now. Just my go-to cap, really rate it. I had these very lightweight but waterproof Innovate mittens. They are absolutely tiny, packed down to next to nothing, but they're waterproof and they're fleece lined and they keep your hands warm. They were great. I took my Gore-Tex backlight over trousers. They're made by Marmot, these ones. I don't like wearing waterproof over trousers, but if I have to, I do quite like these. They're almost like a pair of trousers the way they're cut. North Face woolly hat. Don't think I wore it, don't think I needed it, and in hindsight I'd probably leave it behind. Had a down jacket with a hood, didn't really need that. And lastly, my tried and trusted waterproof jacket, which is a Rab. I can't actually remember the model of this. I think it's a downpour, but I'll check, and if I'm wrong I'll put it up here somewhere. Bought this last year for the West Highland Way, and it served me quite well. It's still waterproof. Some of the taping on the seams is not looking great, but it's not lifted yet. But I don't think it's got long left in it, so I may well be having to replace that soon for another lightweight waterproof jacket. Moving on, and let's get this out of the way. This little bottle, it expands and contracts. What it's for? It's for having a peel of a night. It's really useful. What else was in the bag then? Well, I had my coop kit, which is a titanium mug. It's a 750ml one. Got a little stand for the gas, small lighter, a BRS titanium stove, and a gas canister. And that's all I took for cooking in. Reason is, hello love, Cora wants to say hello. I took things like this to cook. Dehydrated meals. This one is really lovely, Cora wants it. It's a beef and potato hot pot dehydrated meal. Now I took 4 days supply of them, which wasn't enough, and I miscalculated because it was bank holidays and I couldn't get more. So I ended up having pot noodles and soba noodles with them. I took a first aid kit, which is always important, particularly if it's more than a few days. Come here, darling. I took a titanium spork. I've got one of the proper spork ones rather than a spoon, so you can eat your noodles with it. This has got some Dees in it, which I didn't use, but it's always useful to have. I don't know if actually know what's in this bag. Let's have a little look. Oh, sorry, Donna. Let's see. You going? Oh, just some electrics, little light, plug, and some wires, and a set of wired headphones. That's a wash kit. It's got a small toothpaste, toothbrush, very small microfiber towel, and some body wash. This here, this is a small cable. It's a little tie out for Cora. Sometimes you can't let the Cora loose, and she has to be just put onto a tie out. But it's nice and long, so she can still get plenty of movement, can't you, sweetheart? I took a small collapsible bowl for Cora for her water. When I fed her, I just let that go on the floor, and it entertained her no end looking for it. I took a brush so I could look for ticks and keep her nice and clean. A couple of foot warmers, which I used on my snowy day in the tent. I took a Garmin InReach. This is one of the older ones, so it's a little bit larger than the ones that you can now buy, but it works. It lets you call for help if you've got no phone signal, and it lets you text family. I took a Cicero Coast to Coast guidebook and their maps. I rarely use the map. I use OS maps on my phone with the GPS, and I plotted the route on that. It was fantastic, didn't let me down. However, you do need a paper map, because you never know if the phone's going to let you down. If, like me, you might lose the phone, and I had the paper to fall back on. I also had, so you can see this, attached to my bag, this, which I've mentioned in previous videos, a Dicky Bag, which is for putting your dog poo bags in, so you're not leaving them laying around the countryside. Apart from that, I took my Lanshan 2 tent. I didn't take the Wonderland, purely because the Lanshan's a little bit bigger, a little bit lighter, and I've used it lots and I trust it. Didn't let me down. It was great in all the weathers. They're not wonderful in high winds. Mine isn't the pro version, it's the standard with the inner tent, which I prefer, but it's not as strong as the pro, so it's kind of, you know, to balance an act between condensation on the one hand with the added strength, or an inner tent, less condensation but not quite as strong. Now, I did take some clothing with me, and let's go through what I wore and how I did. So these are my Hoka One Speedgo 5s. I used Speedgo 4s last year for a lot of the year, and they're really great. They're comfortable. Even with that thick sole, it actually doesn't tend to lose a lot of feel, and you don't have, I've heard people saying they're worried that perhaps, you know, your ankle might be more liable to turn in them. I don't think so. It's not been a problem for me in these. They've got a vibrant outer sole. I'll try and zoom in. It's well worn now, so I don't think it lasts that long. I mean, what have I done in them? Maybe 250 miles at the very most, and I'd say the sole at the back's pretty much worn away, coming away a little bit as well around the back, but generally in you know, okay condition. I'd probably still use them on the trail for one or two short walks, but they got a real battering on the coast to coast. I mean, yeah, took them through bogs, through snow, rocky ground in the lakes, everything really that England could throw at it. Now with them, I use these, and these are small gaiters by Solomon. All they do is they keep the stones from getting into the shoes, and they're quite useful from that point of view, and they're recommended. I didn't use them all the time, but if it was stony, yeah, I put them on. I had two options with socks. I had a pair of these lightweight sealskins, which really I took in my mind to use at camp, so I could keep my feet dry while wearing my wet shoes still. But they did come really handy in the snow, because they kept my feet warm when my trainers were soaking wet, and you know, it was very cold. So I think from that point of view they were great. But I also used them on the camp, and I took two pairs of these sealskin fast drying socks, and they're really comfortable, and they're made out of a synthetic material, and they dry as as it says on the packet, really quickly. Quite a few days I had wet feet, and as I walked through the day, the socks and the speedcoats dried out, not a problem at all. Let's talk about my duds or my boxies. So I took these Under Armour boxies, 2 pairs, synthetic, quick drying sort of sport type boxies. Really useful, because if you do get a bit damp and wet, you want your boxies to dry out. Cotton just don't, they stay wet and uncomfortable. So again, that was great. I had an Under Armour t-shirt, which was fantastic, very comfortable, not a lot you can say about it. And here we are, a Montaigne long sleeved t-shirt, synthetic, once again a wicking material, so it kept you dry. Not a lot you can say about that except that it works. When I was in Richmond and I was having my little B&B break for the day, I bought another t-shirt from Mountain Warehouse, and I really like this. It's wicking, it was dirt cheap, very good. I've got just a pair of these Mud and Blood shorts that I took with me, which were very, very comfortable. I think they're made with fell runners, and a pair of Columbia stretchy material trousers. Once again, really good, really useful. Had these for a couple of years and they're starting to wear out a little bit, but nonetheless I took them as a preference over my Montaigne trousers, because they're just more comfortable, and comfort I think was the most important thing over a 2.5 week trek. Just took with me a little trowel and some tissue paper. I took the type of tissue paper that's fully biodegradable, although I did put it into the dog poo bags and carry it out with me, to be honest. It's just digging a small little hole for, let's call it waste. In the future, maybe I'll try one of these portable B-days that you can get. I'm going to look into that. Something I nearly forgot about is this. It's a Nylofume pack liner, which I got from Atom Packs. It's basically a very, very strong and durable plastic bag that you put inside your pack to stop things getting wet. And although my pack is made from waterproof material, the seams aren't taped, so it's a good idea to put things like your sleeping bag inside a pack liner. What wouldn't I have taken? Well, I wouldn't have taken a woolly hat. I didn't need it. I had an insulated jacket, which was absolutely fine with the hood. And what would I have taken? Probably a thicker pillow, even though it would have been slightly heavier. I think the comfort value would have been worth it, and I would have taken some lightweight sandals, which I did have but decided against taking. But you live and learn, and I think after each trip you do, you make adjustments to your kit for next time. I hope this video's been helpful to you, and if you've enjoyed it, be really happy if you would subscribe and like the video. Leave any comments, any questions, and I will get back to you. But for now, I'll say bye. See you soon on another trip.